if you're not ready, the boat will sink. Y'all, the boat sank a few times. You know what I mean? What is up, you guys? Welcome to the Talk Process, or welcome back to all my returning subscribers. Shout out to you guys. And shout out to all the love you guys showed on the last episode. You know, for those of you dropping comments, you know, letting your girl know that I'm making some kind of sense is incredibly reassuring, and I really appreciate that from you guys. So thank you for all the love you guys are showing. And we are back. We are back, like I said we would be. Back with another episode. I'm excited to get into this. I'm not going to lie, my notes are a little sporadic. I left a lot of room for my spontaneous conversation. So hopefully this goes well. I'm not going to lie, I'm a little nervous. But we'll try our best, right? That's all we can do, right? Okay, so before we get into the topic, if you are new here and you just so happen to stumble across this video and you have no idea who I am, my name is Tatiana Manawis. I'm a singer-songwriter, and I made this series to give you guys some insight into my life outside of music and let you guys in on a little bit more of how I feel, how I think, why I think or feel them, and things like that. So feel free to do the same. Drop some comments. Let me know where you guys are at with things too. So here we go. Today's episode I'm titling Careful What You Ask For. Careful what you ask for and why early success can be dangerous. And honestly, I have this video to thank. I am going to start this episode by sharing with you guys this clip from a podcast that I just recently binged on because it had so many gems in it. They just summarized exactly how it felt in my experiences, and I just had to use it. So shout out to Megan Ashley and her podcast featuring Jason Jackson Jr. This is episode 37, Pursuit of Faith. Here's the clip.
What do you feel is the biggest threat to the culture right now?
Popularity. And I say that because I've come from a place where like you don't have any. And then once it get put on you, like immediately, you go from 0 to 100,000 followers in like a month. If you aren't practicing being that person before you ever get there, once you get there, the boat is going to sink.
Okay.
I'm telling you it's going to sink. So one analogy that I always like to use is Noah's Ark.
Yeah.
Like if you truly believe God can make it rain, you would start building the ark. You ain't gonna start building the ark whenever it starts sprinkling, because then it's gonna be too late at that point.
It's gonna be too late.
That whole entire podcast, I highly recommend. I'll put the link right here and in the description. It was said so well that I almost feel like I don't have to say much after that. But I wanted to let you guys in on some of my experiences, you know, within music, within really life in general. Let's just dive right in it. So for those of you who have been following me from the very beginning, maybe some of you guys know me from my song Helplessly, my song Like You, my song Bomo. I don't know, you know, comment below how the first song that you guys found out about my music through. But for the most part, Helplessly was the one song that like took me to a height that I never knew I was even capable of reaching. And it's not to say, I don't say any of this to say that I've made it so far up there. But with the success that I have obtained, that experience was like a quick up and quick down. When I started doing music, truly writing and singing was like my escape from everything. Like it was just the place that I go to feel like better and, you know, not feel the things I really didn't want to feel. I wrote it, I sang it, I put it out, and like, you know what I mean? So for a long time, I truly didn't know how to even engage with like the audience that I had. And the person who I was at the time was just like super frail, shy, and like even though I'm showing up in these videos to do music and to sing, because there was nothing to it. There was nothing to sing to the camera by myself, nobody around me, and then I just upload it and then like be away. If you were around that time supporting me in any way, shape, or form, first of all, thank you. Being able to connect through the internet can be such a positive thing, you know? And I didn't understand just how important that connection was early on. I really didn't. It's so, for an introvert, it's extremely like, whoa. And let alone for somebody who doesn't even understand how to articulate how they're feeling outside of music, it was incredibly overwhelming for me. And that's not an excuse at all for doing that. It was just genuinely where I was. So for him to say that, the way he worded it was, if you're not ready and you get it, it can really backfire, you know? So any kind of attention as a human being, if you watch my last episode, as a human being, it's natural. It's very natural to be like drawn to where you're getting attention. And if you're not aware and careful about how you're getting it and what exactly you're continuing to do it for, you know, it can really, really be dangerous. So in my case, I found out through therapy, like in hindsight, like recently, that like the core drive that I had was I want to finally feel seen. And that started with my parents, because that's when we come into this world, it's through your parents. And if that relationship is lacking the things you need, it creates a void within yourself. So I'm trying to feel seen through other things, such as like this platform. So when I got that feeling, because it showed up, oh, I'm being acknowledged. People see me now. But the void is still not being filled, because the void is, I want my parents to see me. You know what I mean? Like, I want mom and dad to see me. Like, that's what I'm trying to feel so badly. I'm trying to fill this void that will never, ever be filled by an audience. This got real fast, but we're here for it. So because I'm trying to fill this void that could never be filled by what I'm doing, inevitably it's going to be an endless chase. And I can't speak for like what it's like to do like substances or whatnot, but I've witnessed what that's like. And it's kind of similar. There's similarities in like being addicted to a drug. It's the same thing. You're addicted to the attention, which is the drug. You're addicted to like, it's the closest thing I can get to feeling seen, to filling that void up. But you never get there. So I had to unpack that. I had to acknowledge that that's really what I'm trying to do, is feel seen from my parents. I'm trying to feel enough. I'm trying to feel, you know, acknowledged in what I'm really doing as a person. And the second I unraveled that, I was then able to see you guys. I was able to see you guys for what role you guys play in my life and what role I play in yours, which is, hey, you guys are showing up to this platform that I'm speaking on or singing through, and you guys are taking an ear to me. Well, that's now a very big responsibility of mine, to be mindful of what I'm telling you, to be mindful of what I'm singing to you, or you know what I mean, singing, and you guys are listening to. That's a huge responsibility. And I'm going to keep going back to the video I played. He's saying, if you're not ready, the boat will sink. Y'all, the boat sank a few times, you know what I mean? And it was by the grace of God, really. Like, I don't know how foreign that concept is to you, but the grace of God is like chances to do it right, no matter how wrong you did it and how many times you did it the same wrong way. You know what I mean? That's grace, because I don't know if you guys all have listened to my song Rhythms, but for those of you who have, one of the lyrics that I say in that song is, my sister, she's just like an angel because she knows how to give everyone grace. Liz, if that may have been the realest line I wrote, because it's so apparent when somebody is placed in your life. If you're paying attention, it's so apparent when someone's placed in your life and you know they're frustrated by your behavior. You know, you've seen them time and time again be frustrated with you, but still stick with you and see you through being better, becoming the better version of yourself. Like, whoo, don't even get me started, y'all. We're gonna start the waterworks in here. But seriously, so my sister obviously was definitely one of them. I had a good, like maybe two other people, and they know exactly who they are, that for sure played a vital role in like becoming a better version of myself. And, you know, you have to pay attention. You have to take the time to slow down. Even if that means like stopping what you normally would do on a daily basis and you don't know who you are outside of it. Maybe that's a good thing to find out, who you are outside of doing that thing that you always do. Because you're just finding out more about yourself. You know, you're just charting more territories of yourself. let's bring it back to the topic of this video, of this episode. Be careful what you ask for. The reason why I wanted to title this episode that is because I vividly remember many times praying and asking God to help me see myself better, because I'm running into the same problems. I'm running into the same behaviors that I'm being, told about myself, like from the people that I love and love me. Like, hey, yo, you're doing this, you're doing that. Just being blinded by my ego, really, because the platform, it can really blind you from where you actually are, because you're getting praise on a video or a song or whatever. When you're getting praised, you think you're that person, and part of you, yeah, you're aligning with that. But if you're not fully doing that outside of those song releases or those video releases, like, you're not gonna get far. You know what I mean? There will come a day where you will have to acknowledge how you're really behaving. So I would get told about myself, just my attitude. It can be very short-tempered. It used to be very a know-it-all. You know what I mean? Like really, really stubborn and ignorant. And that attitude, those behaviors, I'm praying like, hey, God, Lord, like, help me with my attitude. He will. And it will show up in the most inconvenient ways you can imagine, because he's giving you what you want, which is an opportunity to change. And you have to be the one to do it. So when I would ask, it's like, humble me, Lord. And he's like, all right, bet. I don't talk like that, but essentially that's what he's saying. He's like, I got you. I will. Are you you're ready? Okay, you're ready. You want to learn that lesson again? Okay. I'm going to put you in this exact same similar position, and you have to be humble. There it is. And if you miss it, like, you're wondering how you're back in the same cycle again, and it's like, did you pay attention? Did you pay attention to how you behaved? And this is me to me, y'all. Like, this is what I've experienced and had to go back and do a lot of reflecting of how I truly was behaving. And another aspect to being careful what you ask for is, hey, I really want to give back. I really want to show the people that have believed in me for so long that, like, I'm really grateful for their belief in me and how long that they've been helping me along the way. And I'm praying on that kind of thing. And it's like, put me in a position that I can serve, in return, give back. And he will. He'll put you in that position of inconveniencing what you normally would like to do to help somebody else. This is my experience, y'all. So hopefully you guys follow so far. He'll do that, and in my experience, it'll inconvenience what you're used to doing. Are you still gonna do it? Here you go. Here's your chance to be that person that you're asking me to help you be, which is, giving, loving, patient, understanding, you know what I mean? And selfless. Like, here you go. And then if you're not careful, you'll be like, why does this, I'm trying to get on with my life. I'm trying to do this. I'm trying to do that. It's like, okay, this is how you're responding. I'll note it. I'm waiting for you. You know what I mean? Like, that has been my relationship with, in my journey with God, in my journey with music, in my journey with anything, any kind of endeavor for that matter. If I'm asking for these things and then I'm acting confused when it shows up the way it does, like, you know what I mean? And at some point, you gotta zoom out and realize that you still being here is your everyday chance to do the thing that you're trying to do. Your other chance is right now. Like, I noted this down right here. I asked God to give me a chance at, showing up the right way. Okay, show up. I can pray, like, I want to do what you want me to do. Lord, guide me. Anything you say, I'll do. And it's like, okay, well, if I ask you to do that, will you do it? And I can sit there and say, yes, I will. My yes verbally is nothing until I do that thing. Like, me showing up to this podcast is my yes. It's so simple. And like I said, I don't know where you are in your spiritual walk or in your spiritual journey, but this has been my experience so far. And I didn't always have that kind of dialogue with God. I didn't always have that kind of approach to prayer. You know, we can save that. We can save that for a whole nother episode, but it wasn't always like that. Let's put it that way. And over the time, the closer that the more personal and intimate the relationship got between me and God, and how I talk to him, how he, you know what I mean? How I feel he speaks to me. It was, you know, a long time coming, but eventually it got to that place where it's like, dude, if you don't think by now that every day you can be in communication with me, every day I'm with you on this journey, every day, if you don't believe that by now, girl, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, goodness, like I'm constantly always reminded that he is every step of the way aware of where I'm at. It's up to me to be honest to him so that I can acknowledge that he knows where I'm at. I know he already knows, but if I'm not even talking to him about it, what kind of relationship is that? Like, really, let's zoom out of like what a good, healthy relationship is. If you guys aren't talking a lot, you're not in communication at all, like, that's not a strong relationship. Wouldn't you agree? Like, if I'm not talking to my sister, our relationship will fall because there's no communication, there's no connection. So it's really just simplifying what a healthy relationship is for yourself. Just simplify it in your mind. Like, well, a good, healthy relationship is somebody who communicates well with people who communicate well with each other and constantly and often, and about the things that are tough to communicate about, and then they get through it together. It's like, okay, well, if that's what that is, then do you have that with God? Like, that was it. That was what it was like for me. Like, I had to understand that without communication, I mean, I really was just talking to myself. But to believe that, you know, I have that all-time 24/7 access, which we do, was like a game changer for me. So, you know, like I said in the beginning, this episode kind of was, you know, gonna go like this, and it definitely is. I feel like, to bring it full circle, that is why I believe getting early success can be somewhat dangerous, because your drive to do the thing that you're good at, or to do the thing that you showed up starting to do, your drive can shift if you're not careful. Your reason for doing it can shift if you're not careful. And that's why it's always been important for me to, if I get lost in that, I have to come back to my why. I have to come back to why I'm doing this in the first place. And, you know, hopefully by continuing this series, it keeps me there, because I've always felt like when I talk about these experiences, it does help it start to really be engraved within myself, because I'm actively talking about how these are the things to look out for, and it keeps me on my toes. So hopefully it helps you guys do the same in your own situation, where it's like you take the time to reanalyze, you know? I put this in my notes, and hopefully this makes sense. Check on how your influence on the world is influencing you. Because by me having these platforms, by me knowing that I have an influence on you guys, an influence on whoever stops by to listen to my music or these or these videos, one of two things can happen. I can use that to constantly remind myself to be mindful of what I share with you guys. Or if I let my brain run a little too wild and free, it could use that and say, I have influence. And yes, like, what I say is true. And you know, this is my thought process video. This is my platform. It's very, I think the word is egotistical, whatever the word is, but it's very ego-based. It instantly becomes unhealthy in that demeanor, because now you're operating, you know, without your heart, really. You're operating without your soul. We're human. Part of our human design is our ego. Our ego is the part of us that it tries to protect itself. It's a natural thing that comes up mentally, like, well, now I have this, and now I have that, and look at me go. And it's easy to puff yourself up if you're letting it go, if you're letting it do that to you, you know? But you have this say in, like, hey, you know, I don't want to carry myself like that. Like I said, if you're not aware of that, it can really override what you truly want, which is to have a good relationship with your audience, influence them with positive things, lead them down better directions for their life, you know? So I want to be on the same humanitarian level as another human being. I want them to see like, nah, I'm not this special high up above you looking down on you entity. No, I'm a human being. You're a human being. I mess up. You mess up. We all do that. Let's see how we can better ourselves every day and every way we can. Period, point blank. But the second you get out of that and you start thinking you're higher than that, like Jason said, the boat will sink because now you're no longer the person, you know, for the job. I really, really hope that this is all making sense so far. At the end of the day, really be careful what you ask for. And also, if I could add on to that, know why you're asking for it. I feel like that actually might unlock a lot of doors for people, because it unlocked a door for me where when I found out why I was looking to be seen, it helped me not do it for that reason anymore. Like I had mentioned in the beginning, it was because I initially wanted to fill the void of being seen by my parents. And the second I unlocked that, it was like, oh, I can only heal from that by, you know, obviously things like therapy. But now I know the wound to address. Because what I'm essentially doing by if I were to continue just like, yeah, let me just do music, let me just release music, let me just do this thing that I feel like is working, I would have never got there, y'all. I would have never discovered this new path that I'm on. And I would have never grown in the ways that I have, you know, at all. Which is so relieving to know that I'm doing the right things now. And me to myself, when it comes to like self-love, that's such a big thing to take in for yourself. It's like, nah, we're doing better than before. Like, that's great. That in itself, celebrate that. Even if it's just this little by little change, little every day, you know, all of that is great. And this is how I would like to end this episode and bring it to a close. I think getting anything before you're ready can be very dangerous. Therefore, I encourage you to really, really take the time to focus on what exactly it is you need to get better at. Turning the mirror towards yourself, because it's very easy to look at the external like, oh, well, the world is this way, like if they're not changing, then why should I? And you start to internalize these things that you use as excuses to not change and to not better yourself. And I'm saying that out of experience, because that is exactly what I did. Was, well, you know, I'll be fine, you know, I can surely keep going down this road because eventually it'll all work out and I'll prove you guys wrong and all the stuff. Well, that day never came until I started doing the work internally, and I started acknowledging how I played a role in my suffering, like how I played a role in the direction that my life was going in, you know? I hope that this is encouraging to anyone who resonates with this message that, hey, if you're not where you want to be in life, that's not a bad thing. Use that as an indicator that there's something that you're not paying attention to that you really need to. I really want to encourage you to reframe it to an opportunity to make the changes. Because if you're, like I said, if you're still here, you still can do it. You're still here. You know what I mean? I know that so many circumstances are so different from each other, and some are really, really incredibly unfortunate and heartbreaking, and it might be a lot more difficult than the average person. But nonetheless, I truly, truly, truly believe that you can see your life turn around if you decide to take those steps little by little, day by day, to like do different things, do life differently, you know? And that's not me saying it's easy whatsoever, because it's definitely not. The last thing I want is for you guys to get where you're going and then lose it all in a blink of an eye because you weren't prepared. Your character wasn't ready. Your demeanor wasn't ready. Your outlook made you go down wrong paths. You know what I mean? So I hope that by sharing my experience, it has allowed you to see that, hey, it's okay to zoom out. It's okay to look at the things that you're struggling with and still have to get better at or heal from still, because that's what it's going to take in order to get to these next levels that you're envisioning and like can't wait to get to. The one thing that I want for you guys is to not have to make the same mistakes that I did, you know, and not have to be stuck as long as I was. All right. I am going to try to bring this episode to a close because I'm starting to feel like I'm saying the same things to you guys. So I'm going to try my best to wrap it up. With that being said, I appreciate all the love you guys have shown. Thank you to everybody commenting on the videos, letting me know that, hey, this made sense. This resonated with me. Once again, those comments are so encouraging to me, and I really appreciate every single one. So shout out to you guys. If you haven't already, go check out that full podcast. I'll put the link below. Shout out to Megan, Ashley, and Jason Jackson Jr. I really love that. I really love that podcast. So I highly recommend you go check it out. I hope that this video was insightful, inspiring, and a source of positive energy. Only positive energy. You already know I always hope to see you guys on the next episode. But until then, I love you guys. Mwah.